on the most extreme. No one's safe from the next contender in our countdown of extreme biters. Insatiable blood-sucking biters really do exist, which is why the vampire bat creeps in to number 5 in the countdown. Fall asleep in Central and South America, and you're instantly on the menu. The tricky part's getting the blood without waking the seal. That's why these extreme biters have a numbing anesthetic in their saliva. Wouldn't it be great to have the bat's pain-killing spit the next time you're at the dentist? The vampire doesn't have to worry about the dentist because it has fewer teeth than any other bat. Who needs to chew their food when there's a specially grooved tongue to lap up their bloody meal? The next day, there's little evidence that the bat's been feeding. If only Dracula was as subtle as a real vampire. But then Dracula's not the only human with a distinctive bite. Dentists can easily identify patients because our 32 teeth leave a bite that's as unique as a fingerprint. Forensic dentistry can catch criminals and identify bodies, and people have been polishing these skills for centuries. During the Revolutionary War, an American general by the name of Joseph Warren was killed at Bunker Hill. His body was buried in an unmarked grave. A year later, it was decided to dig him up for a proper burial. But the search for the dead general came to a dead end because no one could tell the various bodies apart. Finally, a Boston dentist identified the fallen hero by his distinctive dental work. The world's first forensic dentist had already galloped into the pages of history. For dentist Paul Revere is more famous for riding like a bat out of hell. Vampire bats are also famous because these extreme biters will sink their teeth into any large mammal. Of course, with their anesthetic spit, we never notice that bats find us finger-licking good. We love dogs. You can find a dog in more than a third of all American homes. Today, in the United States alone, the dog population exceeds 50 million. But man's best friend has a dark side. Dogs are number 4 in the countdown because sometimes their bite is much, much worse than their bark. Each year, more than 4.7 million Americans are bitten by dogs. Domestic dogs are now found in so many homes that each year you've got a 1 in 50 chance of being bitten by a dog. And sometimes those bites can be deadly. In the United States alone, it's estimated dogs will kill 17 people. That's more deaths than from the bites of grizzlies, gators, and spiders combined. dogs can be dangerous, because when it comes to biting, they're not very different from their ancient ancestor, the wolf. They still have powerful jaws and teeth for tearing flesh and breaking bone. For some dogs, biting can be such a problem that worried owners take their pampered pooch to a doctor who's really gone to the dogs. At this practice in Manhattan Beach, California, dog bites are big business because Dr. David Nielsen is a veterinary dentist. Today's patient is being fitted with braces.
What's happening with this dog is that the top incisors are moving to the back, and so they're actually hitting on the lower incisors. And so when they hit on the lower incisors, they'll actually move them, and that will create an opening for infection, and what we're going to do is end up with a healthy mouth.
But David and his team don't just give dogs perfect smiles. He's found a way to take the bite out of some canine criminals.
The way we deal with dogs that have a bad reputation as a biter is obviously first we go through dog trainers, and if they actually basically call a class 5 would be a bite where you actually draw blood. And their rule of thumb is that if a dog is bitten that hard, they can't be trained to not bite. It's like asking a person to never get angry. I mean, it's impossible. And so what we do is that actually we'll take off the canine right at about this level, halfway below the level of the incisors, because the way a dog bites is that canine tooth tears. And so you take the dog from being a biter into a pincher. But psychologically it changes them because they just all of a sudden are much more mellow. We've done this on a number of dogs and without problems afterwards, so it's kind of a neat way to save their lives.
Thanks to Dr. Nielsen, now even the most extreme biters can dream of being both man and woman's best friend.
Excellent dog, what a good day. Excellent. Dog. Excellent.
It seems incredible that anything has a more extreme bite than dangerous dogs, voracious vampires, and crushing crocodiles. But coming up is an animal with such a foul mouth, it can bowl over a buffalo. That's next on The Most Extreme. Falling in to number 3 in the countdown is the Komodo dragon. On remote islands of Indonesia, these giant lizards reign supreme. Komodo dragons are number 3 in the countdown because just one bite is all it takes to bring down an animal the size of a buffalo. Dragons have the world's worst halitosis. Inside its mouth, festering meat trapped in the Komodo's teeth turns its saliva into a bacterial broth. Just one bite is enough to cause a fatal infection. And then, it's feeding time. Komodo dragons have more than 60 teeth, and all of them are as sharp and serrated as steak knives. Its teeth are almost as deadly as the bacteria in its septic saliva. But then human mouths are also full of bacteria. The bacteria